Hello everyone and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I plan on reading in April. I had the best reading month of the year so far in March. I was participating in a month-long readathon called Realmathon, and whilst I loved that experience and whilst it did push me to read a few more books than I would have usually, I will admit that I am feeling a little bit burnt out. Now, I wasn't initially planning on filming a set TBR for April, mainly because, as I mentioned, the burnout, but also because I'm feeling like I want to do a lot of mood reading. I did have a set TBR last month of 12 books. I did manage to read 12 books, but they weren't all the 12 books that I mentioned in that specific TBR. I did change out a few, which is fine, but the majority of the books were ones that I had planned to read and had factored in to my reading month. So I feel like I want to be a bit more lax with this one. I am going to be going back to work after time off for Easter. I have a lot of house stuff happening as well, so that is going to take up a lot of my time, and I just don't want to have the added pressure of having a set amount of books I need to read in this month. Saying that though, I do have some books that I would like to prioritise. I've chosen 5 here to talk about today. I feel like 5's an achievable number, but if I decide to switch it up and choose different books off of my shelves, then that is completely fine. I have 2 murder mystery books here and 3 fantasy books. I feel like I'm definitely leaning more towards my murder mystery thriller books this month. So again, the fantasy books might get switched out or I might read some more on top of them, but I definitely feel like I need a change of pacing, and of course mystery thrillers are the best books for that. So I am going to start there, and I'm going to start with my most anticipated book of the year, which is the reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. For those of you who don't know, Holly Jackson is the author of the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. She also wrote the standalone 5 Survive, and she has cemented herself as a favourite author of mine. So I've had this book pre-ordered ever since it was announced. This is the beautiful Waterstones edition that is also signed by the author, so I'm extremely happy that I did get my hands on this one. And this is another standalone murder mystery from her, from what I can gather, in which we follow our main character Belle, and 16 years ago her mother disappeared. No one knows what happened to her. Belle was the only witness, however she was only 2 years old and of course couldn't tell the police anything and cannot now remember anything that occurred. And the case is dragged up once again when a documentary team approaches the family asking if they can of course film a documentary of this case. And at the beginning it seems like a good idea, but the deeper they dive into the documentary, the more secrets are revealed, and a lot of different circumstances changed throughout the filming of this documentary as well, which will ultimately change the course of our characters' lives. I am so excited for this one. I am going to be diving into it this weekend, which I cannot wait for. I am also going to be filming a dedicated reading vlog for this book, which will be spoiler free, so if you'd like to hear my specific thoughts in real time whilst I'm reading this, then please keep an eye out for that video, which will be coming your way soon. I did film a specific reading vlog for the last book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and you guys really seem to enjoy that one, and because this is my most anticipated book of the year, I had to film one for this too. So as you can tell, I'm extremely excited for this one. This is going to be one of the first books that I read in April, and I'm just hoping that I'm going to love it as much as I've loved her other books, because her writing style is so easy to dive into. You get hooked from page 1, and whilst I don't think this has mixed media elements in it, it does of course have a true crime documentary element to it, which is something that I'm definitely here for. So all in all, I am desperate to read this one. I'm so excited to get to it, and I will share my thoughts on it pretty soon with you guys in that reading vlog, which will be coming in the next few weeks. Sticking to the murder mystery theme, the next book I plan on reading is Murder Road by Simone St. James, which is another new release. To be honest, I haven't really looked into this one too much. I've just seen it mentioned a few times in some different booktubers videos, and the premise really intrigued me. So it just says here, April and Eddie have taken a wrong turn, and now they're on a long dark road late at night when they see a woman up ahead clearly in trouble. They stop and pick her up. It's only once she's in the car that they see the blood. Then headlights appear in the distance, racing towards them at speed, and at long last the woman speaks. I'm sorry, he's coming. While April and Eddie are able to escape this time, their terrifying adventure is only just beginning. The hitchhiker's injuries prove fatal, and the couple are trapped in the small town of Cold Lake Falls, prime suspects in the eyes of the local police. It turns out that this isn't the first victim to die on this stretch of road, and it isn't the first time that survivors have seen something that can't be explained. But to get out of town, April and Eddie are going to have to drive down that haunted stretch of road one more time. This just sounds like the type of book that I want to read right now. I should really be prioritizing some older thrillers spoilers on my TBR, but I am drawn to this one for some reason and I really would like to read it and share my thoughts on it with you guys. So hopefully I can get to this one. It's a pretty short book. I feel like it's going to be a compelling murder mystery that is going to be very fast paced, and that is exactly what I need this month. So that is the next book that's going to be on my TBR. Then moving into my fantasy books, the first book I want to read is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. This is actually a priority read for me because it is on my Buzzwordathon TBR. For those of you who don't know, Buzzwordathon is a year-long readathon hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala. Each month we have a specific prompt that we need to fulfill, and for this month I believe that the prompt was to read books that had words relating to nature in the title, and of course I've chosen this because it has sea in the title. This is one that I've had on my shelves for a long time. It is the Fairy Loot edition, however I didn't like the Fairy Loot cover, so I swapped it out for the standard editions cover. I feel like it just works so well, it looks so pretty, and it is also a pretty short book, so I am hoping that this is one that I can pick up and fly through. I do also enjoy books set at sea, so I'm hoping that that is going to be an element that keeps my attention, but I honestly don't really know anything about this book. I just know it's one that I've been meaning to read for a while and I just haven't. So all I'm going to read you is the little snippet at the bottom. It says, "The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a magical feminist retelling of a classic Korean legend. Perfect for fans of Uprooted and Spirited Away." Now, I really enjoyed Uprooted. I haven't actually watched Spirited Away yet, I'm sorry, please don't come for me. But you guys know I love books about mythology and I'm always desperate to learn more about different mythologies from different cultures. So in this one I will of course get a glimpse into Korean mythology and I'm hoping that it's going to be a really fun time. Then next up we have another Fairy Loot book. This is another recent release. I believe this one came out in February, but this one is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, and I have just been seeing rave reviews about this book, so I had massive FOMO. I wanted to read it, and that is why I've placed it onto this month's TBR. Now I do have a dedicated unboxing video for this book. If you would like to watch that, I will leave it linked up above and down below. It's a beautiful edition. It is a complete cover change, which I actually think I prefer. However, the original cover is beautiful. But as I mentioned previously, I love books about mythology. This is inspired by Norse mythology, if you couldn't tell. And once again, I just feel like it's going to be a really good time. I believe it's a fantasy romance, and that honestly in itself had me sold, as well as the artwork. Look at this, you guys. How stunning is our main character? Again, I'll read you the little snippet. It says, "A woman blessed by the gods battles to unite a nation under a power-hungry king, while also fighting a growing desire for his fiery son in this Norse-inspired fantasy romance from the best-selling author of the Bridge Kingdom series." Now, I haven't read the Bridge Kingdom series, however, I really do want to. Again, it's one that's been highly recommended, and I feel like it is one that I'm going to really enjoy. So if I vibe with the writing style in this one, I will definitely be looking at that other series. But yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I really do hope I love it as much as everyone else, because a Norse-inspired fantasy romance just sounds right up my street. And then the last book is one that I have mentioned on a few TBRs recently, and that one is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know why, but I've just been putting off this book, you guys. I have made it 12% of the way through. I am reading it on my Kindle just because I find it easier than picking up this chunky book. So I don't actually know how far through I am, but I will say I am really enjoying this one so far. I just need the motivation now to sit down and read it and prioritize it. Of course, for Elmathon, the aim was to read as many books as I could, and a 700-page book just wouldn't have worked for that, so I did have to put it down for that. I read a few pages here and there when I could, but ultimately I haven't really picked it up. I do want to though, because I've really enjoyed what I've read of it so far. For those of you who don't know, this is the second book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I'm making it a priority to read more Brandon Sanderson books this year because I have loved everything that I've read from him in the past. However, I've never gotten past the first book in this trilogy. So now that I'm up to the second book, I'm definitely further along than I've ever been, but I don't want to slow down and stop. I want to keep reading and find out what is going to happen with our characters and the world, because the world is in chaos at the minute and we definitely need some resolutions. In the first book, we follow our main character Kelsia, who is a Scar. Now, the Scar in this world have been oppressed for centuries. They are all living under the rule of the Lord Ruler, who is essentially an immortal emperor, and they are treated worse than slaves. Now, Kelsia is desperate to change that, and he is trying to start a Scar rebellion in order to rise up against the Empire and overthrow the Lord Ruler. He knows he can't do this alone though, and whilst he is sowing discord in the Scar plantation camps, he is busy recruiting a group of people to help him complete certain missions in the capital. Now, what's really interesting is that in this world, you can harness different abilities by ingesting certain metals. Kelsia is a Mistborn, meaning that he can ingest all 8 metals. However, most people can only ingest and use one, and so he is the main person in this rebellion. However, his crew are all able to ingest some sort of metals, which gives them all heightened abilities. Now, they've all kind of known about each other for years. They have been friends, some of them, for a long time. And one day, Kelsier stumbles across Vin, who is another main character in this book. She is a young Scar who is in a bad place, and Kelsier kind of takes her under his wing and trains her in elemancy so that she can ingest metals and harness their abilities as well. Of course, it's a lot more complicated than that. Everything is not smooth sailing, and we follow these characters as they plot and scheme to try and get a better life for themselves and the Scar. I feel like I can never describe the series properly, but I hope that made sense in some regard. It is a fantastic series. As I mentioned, I really have enjoyed all the books that I've read from Brandon Sanderson in the past, so I do have high hopes for this one. I'm enjoying where we are at currently, and yeah, I'm just intrigued to see where we're going to go from here. So there we have it. These are all of the books that I would like to get to in April. However, as I mentioned, it's not a set TBR. I will most likely get to them though, but yeah, these are my kind of main priority books that I will be looking to read this month. I am excited for each and every single one, and I really love the colour scheme that I've gone for this time around as well. Please do let me know your spoiler-free thoughts on any of the books that I've shown if you have any. I love chatting to you guys about the books that I plan on reading, and it definitely helps sway the order in which I read them as well. So if you do have any opinions that you would like to share, as I mentioned, spoiler-free of course, then please feel free to leave those down below. If you have made it this far through into the video and would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and leave me a clapboard emoji, which is this director's thing here. Of course, it's on the cover of my most anticipated book of the year, and I feel like it's going to get used quite a lot throughout the book, so it's definitely a fitting one. I know I say it all the time, but seeing you guys comment the emoji of the video really does mean the world to me. It blows me away that you guys watch these all the way through. So if you are still here but don't have anything in particular that you would like to say, please go ahead and comment that now. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you like this video, and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. But that is it from me today, guys. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!